Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2023 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Without doubt, my absolute favourite race of the year. I cannot wait for this one. The track is fantastic. For the most part, we tend to see great racing and there's always a risk of a sudden shower to cause some drama. Such a good Grand Prix. And okay, yeah, it's another sprint weekend, but of all the sprint venues, this, and to be fair, Austria, just seem to work with the format, so I'm still super excited for this one. Enough of all that waffle, though. Let's jump straight into the preview, starting, as always, with a look at the track and all the usual stats that follow. So last weekend, F1 was in Mexico for the Mexico City Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen broke his own record for most wins in a single season by taking his 16th victory of the year. Absolutely insane numbers, but now it is on to Brazil for the 20th race of the season. A lap of the brilliant Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, or Interlagos as it is often referred to, is 4.309 kilometers long. That's just over 2.6 miles if you prefer, and is made up of a total of 15 corners with a race lap record of a 1:10.540 set by Valtteri Bottas back in 2018. And come Sunday, we are set to see 71 racing laps with 24 laps scheduled for Sunday's sprint. This weekend, there will be 2 DRS zones to hopefully help drivers get some moves done. The first runs down the straight between turns 3 and 4, with the second starting just before the final corner and running down the start-finish straight. So expect to see most overtakes happening into turns 1 and 4. No great surprises there, although we do sometimes see some late-breaking moves into turns 8, 10 and 12. Always good to see some non-DRS overtakes, so hopefully we'll see some on Saturday and Sunday. And in 2022, George Russell did the double, winning the sprint race before taking the actual race win, where he led home teammate Lewis Hamilton and the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Kevin Magnussen, of course, taking pole position on Friday, one of the surprises of the weekend, if not the season. And from the last 3 races in Brazil, we've had 3 different winners: Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. And including this weekend, there are just 3 race weekends left in 2023. It's all about the number 3 today, which is awfully convenient because 3 is also the number of dry tyre compounds available at a race weekend, and 3 plus 3 equals 6, which is also the number of dry tyre compounds available in the whole Pirelli range. Oh yes, it is a double segue into tyre talk time. If you love these, only 2 left this season. If you hate these, only 2 left this season. The compounds available for this one then are in the middle of the Pirelli ranges, so they are the hard C2, the medium C3 and the soft C4. So what can I tell you about strategy for this one then? Well, Interlagos has a fairly rough track surface, but degradation tends to be thermal here, which is why, as Pirelli explains, tyres from the middle of the range have been chosen. The manufacturer also states that the forces acting on the tyres are reasonably well balanced between lateral and longitudinal, and yes, that is a direct quote. Traction is also a big factor here, especially in that tight, twisty middle section and out of turn 12 as well, because a poor exit from that corner will cost drivers time in qualifying and leave them vulnerable in the race through the final flat-out sequence and down the start-finish straight. A 2-stopper is the most likely strategy on Sunday. A 1-stopper can work, but it would require a lot of tyre management, and so depending on how badly that affects the driver's pace, it might just be better to bite the bullet and stop a second time. And last year's winning strategy, by the way, was a 2-stopper, with George Russell starting on the softs before switching to the mediums on lap 24 and back to the softs to go to the end on lap 49. The fastest pit stop for those interested in 2022 was 2.04 seconds carried out by Red Bull, and the overall pit lane loss time according to the FIA was largely between 23 and 25 seconds. As many of you will know, I'm sure, Interlagos does seem to love a safety car, and in the last 5 races at the circuit there have been a total of 6 safety car deployments and 3 virtual safety car periods, and actually 4 of the last 5 races have featured at least 1 full safety car. It's just one of those tracks, and so there's a good chance one could influence strategy on Sunday. The weather could also play its part, but the forecast at time of recording at least says we should expect a mostly dry weekend. It is Interlagos though, so take that with a pinch of salt because the weather can be very unpredictable. But as it stands, practice on Friday should be dry to start with highs of around 27 degrees. However, qualifying later that afternoon could see a shower with a 60% chance of any rain falling and highs of 28 degrees. There is a lingering threat of some rain for the shootout on Saturday morning, but it is currently a slim chance and that falls away even more as the afternoon goes on. So the sprint itself is expected to be dry with highs of 23 degrees. And on Sunday, temperatures are currently set to be around 20 degrees for the start of the race, with a 10% chance some rain might fall. Again, though, and for the third time, that could all change before we get to the weekend, and knowing how it can sometimes go at Interlagos, it could all change at any stage during the weekend, but that's what the forecast says on Wednesday afternoon. And your schedule for this one is another evening one here in the UK, although the sessions are a little bit earlier than they have been over the last couple of weekends. So the one and only practice session gets things started on Friday from 2:30 p.m. GMT, with qualifying getting underway later that evening at 6 p.m. Saturday starts with the sprint shootout, and that is from 2 p.m. with the sprint itself starting at 6:30 p.m. And it is lights out for the race on Sunday at 5 p.m. and once again that is in UK time. Now, before we get on to my predictions, there are just a couple of things, and it is just a couple of things to tell you about ahead of this weekend's action. First up, it was confirmed earlier this week that Mercedes Chief Technical Officer Mike Elliott has left the team, ending his 11-year stint with the Silver Arrows. Bit of a surprise, this one, to be honest, but Elliott, who stepped back from his technical director role earlier this year, swapping jobs, if you remember, with James Allison to focus on developing a new technical strategy with the aim of renewing the team's technical capability for the coming years, has decided to take a break from F1 before deciding his next move. Elliott said his time with Mercedes has been one of the great privileges of his career, adding that although the last 2 seasons have not seen the team winning races in the manner it aspires to, they have tested them in many other ways and forced them to question their fundamental assumptions about how they deliver performance. He went on to add he hopes that the new technical strategy can provide the foundations of the team's next cycle of success. And finally, for this very short news part, Gunther Steiner has confirmed what caused Kevin Magnussen's crash in Mexico on Sunday. The Dane was sent crashing into the wall at turn 8 after his suspension failed on lap 32, and Steiner has since revealed to motorsport.com that the failure was caused by a heat which came from the rear brakes. He explained that Magnussen's defence in his battle with Logan Sargent is what tipped it over the edge, and the high temperatures in Mexico at the weekend were also to blame. The team confirmed it did look at Nico Hülkenberg's car during the red flag, but no issues were found, so he was safe to continue racing. And with such extensive damage to Magnussen's car in mind, the Haas boss went on to add that although the situation is obviously not ideal, the team should have enough spare parts to see out the rest of the season. Right then, time for me to make some predictions, and as always, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last weekend, well, I've certainly done worse, and based on how quick he was on Sunday, had he not got qualifying wrong, I think Lando Norris would have been right up there, and I would have been right and close to some more points, but he didn't, so that's completely irrelevant. Anyway, at least I get something for Verstappen's win, so again, that is something, but let's just brush over those and move on quickly. This week, I want to go not bold, but in a different direction, a direction I've not been in for quite some time. Look, I don't think anyone would be surprised if Red Bull and Max Verstappen rocked up to Interlagos and won the lot. After all, it would be very much in keeping with how much of this season has gone and would at least show we've all been paying attention. However, as I've said on the last few streams, Brazil can be a bit of a lottery and the sprint format is only going to add to that. So no, I'm not going with a Red Bull Sunday race win this weekend, even though there is a good chance, slightly tongue-in-cheek there, that they will be in the mix. Instead, looking back at how well they did last year and how the last 2 races have played out, I'm actually going to go with a Mercedes win. Oh yes, because after all, Lewis Hamilton wasn't a million miles away in Mexico and was close to at least crossing the line first in Austin. Also, to keep these interesting for once, I'm going to mix things up by having a driver from each of the expected top teams getting something over the course of the weekend. Not realistic, no, but screw it, who cares? So I'm going with Charles Leclerc for pole position on Saturday, Oscar Piastri for P1 in the shootout, Max Verstappen for the sprint win, and Lewis Hamilton for the win on Sunday, which if it happened would be his first since Jeddah 2021. And when it comes to the final 2 spots on the podium, I'll go with Verstappen in P2 and Sainz in P3. So that's Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari and McLaren all represented in my predictions this time. And the fastest lap, well, that can go to George Russell. Top of the midfield, I'll go with AlphaTauri for this one, just because why not, but also because that car has taken a step forward lately. And it would be great to see them build on that Mexico result too. Although Williams might go well here as well, so that could be a really fun fight. Throw Alpine in too, that could be a lot of fun. My one bold pick for this one is, perhaps as bold as I can make it, Logan Sargent will finally out-qualify Alex Albon on Saturday. Alright, not even I believe that one, but I did say bold to be fair. I also obviously meant out-qualify him on Friday because it's a sprint weekend, so qualifying's on Friday and not Saturday. But you know what I meant. Oh, and super quickly, before the usual people who have paid no attention to anything I've said over the last 6 years turn up in the comments, I've checked. That is the first time I've picked Lewis Hamilton for a win of any sort since, funnily enough, Abu Dhabi 2021. So you can stop it with your inevitable British bias nonsense. You're just making yourself look a bit silly. But anyway, that is it for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix preview. But don't forget, you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, including the usual race reaction live stream on Sunday. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.